So thanks again. So what I'll try to do, I'll just try to do this relatively quickly, right? So from a use case perspective, so from a deployment, what do we see how clients are actually just talking to us and how they actually want to deploy the technology? We see a few different use cases. Ed talked about it in that first overall slide around the copy data leverage. We definitely talk about around his copy data leverage, these different use cases, the copy data leverage, the next gen data protection, the hybrid cloud, as well as the analytics, right? So when we think about copy data leverage, right, the important thing to think about, and Ed hit this highlight in his talking points, right? When you think about, do I actually use the copies of data that I have or that I'm creating in conjunction with, I've got all these, at the end of the day, it's really about every single time someone wants to do some type of new business process, right? So if I want to do test dev, if I want to do analytics, which happens to be the hot button today, right? Whatever that next thing is that's going to be after analytics, regardless, it's going to require a copy of my production data. And what we see is that folks in IT tend to say, well, I do one of two things. Either I go to a new set of processes and I make that copy with that process, whether it be replication or something like that, so I can have that data available. Or a lot of times we see them actually looking at, hey, maybe I'll use my backup copy and do like a full recovery, right? In conjunction, they're also doing things like snapshotting, right? And are they using their snapshotting? And as Ed said, right, a lot of times these just sit, they sit idle. They're easy to create, right? Once a vendor comes in and sets up the new storage, I create my snaps and I have my snaps going and my vaults going. But am I actually using them or taking advantage of them, right? And I'm not, because I really don't have the insight to actually see what is going on with these snaps, right? So our whole objective is how do you leverage the ECX software to be able to now, one, orchestrate the best practices of how to make data available for these different lines of business and meet their SLAs or their business requirements through the automation and orchestration, right? And allow them to be able to take advantage of the different data sets. And from that, you see things like automated DR, the orchestration of all your snaps and mirrors like we've been talking about, right? And be able to have them be schedulable, but also the ability to just kind of run them ad hoc. So again, automated DR, test dev, analytics, and hybrid cloud. When you think about it, right, this process right here is used for a number of different things within the environment, whether it be truly disaster recovery, right, or whether it be, hey, let's get the data set back to be able to use this data set for things like test dev and DR. Well, you can imagine, right, if I'm going to be bringing this data set back for test dev or for analytics, right, it's a long and involved process. And am I doing this on a regular basis? Probably not. It's scripted. It's error prone. It only I can only execute this on a weekly or monthly basis. And when I'm doing that, I'm not providing the most recent data set available for things like disaster recovery, for things like test dev, to be able to have a real accurate data set for my test dev environment. But when I'm using the Snap Vault technologies and the Snap Mirror technologies and I'm orchestrating that information, right, I can build in scalability, repeatability, especially of my best practices in my environment. I now have the ability to do things like audit that environment, especially with the catalog that we capture from that, and be able to do this now on a daily basis because, again, it's all automated and it's not error prone. We don't have a lot of things going on, right? So again, Prashant showed you, very easy to set up. You can use these snaps, vaults, and mirrors for multiple different business operations. So I can set it up once, but I can use that data set for different things. And I have the full auditability of what's going on in the environment in case something fails, and the ability to then say, let's promote this data set to production, or let's keep it in this fenced environment. It's a clone set. Let's use it for test dev, or whatever my different business operations are. And with the exception reporting, when something fails or something goes bump in the night, right, I have instant access to, hey, what's going on, what's happening, and be able to go fix that right away. Very similarly, like we talked about with disaster recovery, that same workflow, that same process, that error-prone process is used to bring data sets up for things like test dev or DevOps. By being able to provide the most recent data set through a snap, through a vault, through a mirror, right, at the end of the day, I get higher quality development code by being able to do this, and I move the business from maybe a DevOps to more of, from a test dev environment to more of a DevOps type environment because I'm using that most recent data set. In addition, the ability to take the latest and greatest developed code and make that available in any location, including in the cloud, for people that want to test against it, gives me the ability to make sure that those folks are highly focused on working on testing, not looking for data, trying to find it, trying to orchestrate the data set. They're actually focused on the testing, which is what's important to their business. Same thing for analytics. We talked about, so now what happens is now you're actually taking advantage of your snapshots, right, and not making all those additional copies of data, which end up being left stale and being left out there. So, and then finally with the cloud, all of those same workflows and all of those same use cases, test, dev, and analytics, now the ability to do these in the cloud and be able to leverage that liquid compute power. So we'll just, as Ed had mentioned, right, we went within 36 hours from getting the cloud ONTAP code from NetApp, we were able to stand up ECX in a Docker image, and we actually went to market at Amazon reInvent with NetApp as a part of their providers. They had done a SQL model, they had done two SQL types of models, but 74% of the folks that actually went to the test drive suite for Cloud ONTAP downloaded the solution with Catalogic software, mostly because of the fact that it wasn't just using the cloud as a repository or another device for things like long-term retention. It was to be able to see, one, what data was I putting there, and two, have the insight to, I'm going to use that data for whatever their particular business operation was.
Because go ahead.
Sorry, can you just qualify when the data's moved to the cloud, what you can do with it at that point?
So from an orchestration standpoint,
can I bring up the VM set in Amazon and run it like I was running it on premises?
So VMs, no, right?
So right now the use cases we have is for volumes, NFS, and CIFS shares.
Yep.
And then also you can replicate your VMware data to the cloud, but in order to use it, you have to bring it back.
So it's a backup.
Yeah.
It's a backup.
Right. Or unless if you're close enough to an Amazon data center, then you can have your own VMware and use it. But if you go in soft layer, you can do all the use cases since they have VMware infrastructure in that place. Yeah.
It's one of the reasons we didn't GA it, so it's still up if you Google go at or Amazon AWS NetApp test drive, it's still up and running. But you're right, it's just more for volume based, but you get visibility what's out there before and after. But really Equinix or soft layers is a more robust format because we do VMware. So and you'll see us making that production in the future, but we have to do a conversion of VMware to Amazon, right?
Yeah. From a licensing standpoint, I know it's on a controller basis today. Yeah. Is there then the Cloud ONTAP instance is also a license, and per instance, how is that actually handled? Not that this is a licensing discussion, but just curious, if I wanted to take advantage of that, then do I pay a one-time license fit for it out there?
Yeah, so for the Cloud ONTAP, because it's per hour is how they're doing it, two ways. The enterprise license you buy, which is easy with us, just buy the same thing, and a virtual controller is a physical controller. But we're looking at new things. The reason we didn't make it production, it's not a GA product, but it's up and running. It's just that it shows that we can do it, right?
Sure.
It's because we're trying to figure out exactly how to price it. They do per hour, and that's fine for storage if you're not using it or compute, but we're just trying to figure out the right model, to be honest.
That's absolutely fair, yeah.
And it's
that's a challenge, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and you frankly do need the VMware to AMI converter
in order to do the different use cases, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're going to production in the other ones, but they wanted to go out to Amazon.
Yeah.
It does work, and you can see if you're going to play with it, it's still up and running.
Okay, Steve, go ahead.